Hey everyone, welcome to today's edition of One Single Story, where each weekday we tackle a single relevant question based on our Bible reading for that day. This week our reading is centered around the book of 1 Thessalonians, and today I'm joined by Jay Rivenbark and Zack Unkenholz, and our reading was 1 Thessalonians chapter 3. In verse 6 it says, "But now Timothy has just returned, bringing us good news about your faith and love. He reports that you always remember our visit with joy, and that you want to see us as much as we want to see you. We have been greatly encouraged in the midst of our troubles and suffering, dear brothers and sisters, because you have remained strong in your faith. It gives us new life to know that you are standing firm in the Lord." So the question I have today is, how does the faithfulness of others inspire us in our troubles? So he is clearly in trouble. We don't know what kind of trouble, but he's suffered a lot. Paul suffers a lot. But he's greatly encouraged in their troubles and suffering by their faithfulness. So how do other people's faithfulness inspire or encourage us in our own trouble?
I think anytime you see somebody that's going through a difficult time or season, and you may be in something similar, is encouraging and inspire. One, you know you're not alone. Two, if other people have gone through it, have come out the other side of it, it gives you some hope that you can as well. And on the flip side of that is, it's important for us to be faithful so that other people are encouraged. You know, it's a two-way street, it's reciprocal. It should be back and forth, which brings back the importance of community. You know, if you're not connected with people, whether it be close family, friends, you know, church fellowship, life groups, teams, whatever it may look like, then it's hard to have those people, those examples of inspiration and encouragement around you. But it's vitally important. It's kind of like recharging your batteries, resetting sometimes, just to get a fresh new perspective.
I think it's one of the important parts of having a community of believers around you is that we can encourage each other and lift each other up. And with a wide variety of people here, whatever you're going through, other people have most likely gone through it before, and so it's kind of like the encouragement from Jesus, whatever temptations you face, he has too. And I think that we can realize that when we have this community of believers around us, they can lift us up. And last month, Steve was talking about a verse that's many times taken out of context, in that people will say, oh, like whatever you're going through, you can, God will never give you anything you can't handle. But it's just not true. God gives us things all the time that we can't handle, so that we lean on him. And being around other people who lean on God can be an example to us of God's faithfulness when we lean on him and when we're faithful to him. Can be incredibly encouraging and can get us through the most difficult times of our lives.
Yeah, I think it's good to, one of the reasons why we have the Bible is to look at how people went through difficult times and remained faithful. Or if they were unfaithful, how they repented and turned, to give us encouragement in those moments. And we should be aware of the people who are around us, because I think sometimes we aren't as aware. Let me say this. I don't think sometimes we are as transparent as we could be, because if we were more transparent, people would find hope in our story. At times we are very guarded in what we share. I remember one time, as I was going through I was really coming out of a bad place. I would say I was out of it, but it was like at the beginning. And I remember being in a situation, and this person coming to where I was and bending down, and in about 2 minutes shared with me a very similar story that they had gone through themselves. And I remember how encouraged I felt at that moment. Gosh, okay, because sometimes when you're in those, you think you're the only one. You think you're the only person who is dealing with this, has ever dealt with this, it can feel like a pressure cooker. You're embarrassed. But what I've found over the years is that for the most part, lots of people have gone through things.
Sure.
And I think sometimes it helps us to be transparent, to say, you know what, I went through this, and you can survive too.
I think even in the church, one of the most beautiful examples of that is, say, for instance, when we offer financial peace. And if I'm facilitating that class, there are times I tell stories about when I made bad decisions, when I was flat broke, when I had no money. And sometimes that was a result of circumstances beyond my control. Sometimes it was bad choices and decisions. But I think that helps people see faithfulness, that there is a way out. You can come through that. Then, we have programs like Grief Share and Celebrate Recovery, where are huge encouragements to people who are in difficult seasons and dark places oftentimes, but they can go in those environments and those settings, as you said, where people are open, honest, transparent, say, I've been there. You can do this. You can make this, with God's help. And, marriage the same way. When counseling folks pre-marriage or otherwise, the realities are sometimes, my wife, we share, difficult seasons and times and places where we've been to help those people know, like you said, you're not the only one. There is hope. There is help. There is a future. And so putting that hope out there for people sometimes requires vulnerability.
And that vulnerability is challenging.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Because we wonder, okay, what are people going to think?
Yeah, what's the perception going to be?
That's right. How are they going to feel?
Yeah.
My experience is most of the time, it's a relief to people. They're encouraged.
Yeah.
They feel, they're thankful that you were willing to share that. Sometimes, people look down their nose at you, but that's not my typical experience. What kind of troubles and suffering do you think Paul was dealing with right now?
He had a long list.
he had gone through a lot. This may be before he went through. This is before his ordeal, right, with the boats and the snakes and all that fun stuff. Or is this before prison?
I don't know if it's before. I mean, I don't necessarily know the timeline. This is not considered a prison epistle. I think Ephesians, Philippians, Colossians, maybe Philemon are the prison epistles. I don't think this is considered a prison epistle, but he could have been in jail by now at this point.
All we do know is it was trouble and it was suffering, and I think what compounded part of that was he addressed previously was the inability to reconnect with those people and those relationships. Because if you're struggling, you got trouble, you're suffering, and you can't connect with the people that you care about on a deep level, it just compounds the problem and situation. And sometimes just being in the presence of those people is encouragement and strength. But we know that at various times he went through an extreme list of problems and issues.
What I had read, and I was just looking to verify what I recalled, but it was written they believe while he was at Corinth, which would have been a challenging situation to begin with. Corinth would have been. This is Thessalonica is modern day Greece, so that would be to give some more worldly context. But I think there's a number of things he could have been facing. This isn't long after he left there, and he's writing back to him. By the way, are y'all good letter writers?
Good in the sense of I think I can communicate well through written form, but not good in the sense that I enjoy doing or do it often.
I would agree with that. And I get hand cramps too quickly, So I don't know if it's because I eat not enough bananas or too many bananas, but my hands are weak. I've got feeble little mole hands, if you will. So,
There's a scripture that lift up your feeble hands,
What's that?
oh you who don't eat bananas. And
I think I remember that once.
How do you know? How do you not know whether you don't eat enough or you eat too many bananas?
I mean, like, I might eat like 3 bananas a day, right?
Really?
that's a
Yeah,
lot of
I like bananas. Is that a lot of
That's-
bananas?
Yeah, I would say that's
That's why he's so hairy.
I'm on the King Kong diet right now. I could explain it, but then why am I cramping? Why are my hands cramping? So I didn't do like hand workouts. I don't know.
I can't help you there.
They make medicine for that.
They do. Wait. Oh man. How do we get into the banana conversation?
You said you're not a
Cramping.
good letter writer. 'cause you
Letters. That
cramp.
was it.
With your
Yes.
little mole hands.
I'm not very good about writing letters.
And
but if
can
I
we
have
help
to, I
people
can.
hear about the mole hands?
Whew.
Okay.
Oh, the mole hands.
Yeah.
We
We were in staff. We were talking about mole traps, and I said,
And
"Have you ever seen
moleskin
that?"
journals, which led to mole
yeah,
traps.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's how we got there. And I said, "Have you ever seen their hands? Their hands are as big as mine." Well, Zach thought I meant they were literally as big as mine. A mole's not even big as my hands.
Yeah, they're tiny. So I'm expecting this little tiny thing with like the most ginormous hands.
They
I've ever
are
seen.
ginormous compared to their body.
Yeah, sort of.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
look, if your hand was as big as a mole, comparatively speaking, it'd be as big as your chest.
Wait, I'm testing if my hands are as big as my
No, they're not as
chest.
big as
They're not as big as my chest. No,
I mean,
but
proportionally.
if your hand's as big as your face, though, did you hear about this? It means you might have a disease. Have you heard about this?
No.
No? You're not gonna try it?
This podcast is way off the rails.
That's the old trick. You tell someone, "Oh, if your hand's as big as your head, then you have a disease." They put their hand, and then you go bonk, and you knock
Yeah,
their hand.
okay.
Do you know
Were
about
you
that
going to
one?
do that to Jay?
I was about to do that.
Oh
yeah.
man,
So
I
tempting.
hate
Oh yeah.
I hate he did
Our
not put his
viewership
hand.
would have blew up
right? Oh,
after
come
that.
on.
Because you might would have bonked him back. Oh no.
Oh man.
And then y'all could have been encouraged in our trial.
Yeah, how we overcame our troubles. Yes. Yes, indeed. But the simple reality is what's taking place right here that takes place in community, even when you're going through a difficult time of season, because one of us could have come in here with things going on that we haven't shared.
Yeah.
And this time of encouragement and laughter, it lifts you up.
It does.
Absolutely.
Encourage your heart. Well, thank you for joining us today on this edition of One Single Story. We hope you'll be back with us tomorrow as we continue a conversation around 1 Thessalonians.